Hi, I'm T.H. Culhane for Solar Cities, and what you're looking at here in my hand is my first air pump. And the air pump is made of a short length of PVC half-inch tubing with an air stone pipe that has then got a flexible hose jammed into the PVC. And this is coming from this little aquarium pump here, which you can see. What am I using here? I'm using the, there's a little aquarium pump there. It's not a big one. It's fairly quiet. So all I've done is run that tube from the air stone through this flexible hose and through this PVC. And if I put it in the water here, you can see it bubbles, as it would, because that's all it is, right? So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to back it off a little bit by pulling on the cord a little bit, and you can see I'm backing it off until it's just underneath there. That way, when I put this in the water, it won't lose air bubbles that way. It would if I did this, then the bubbles come out, but if I turn it like this, it doesn't. And what happens instead, as you can see, is it begins to pump water. The water is lifted by the air, and then it will fill this bucket up here. So I'm displacing the water and pumping it up. Now, this is very useful for those of us who are doing vertical aeroponics, because if we use a impeller water pump, then the crud that is in our fertilizer solution will crud up the filter and eventually crud up the pump, and boy, those things fail, and you lose a lot of money over time. Here, the pump is way over here. It's outside, and it's just pumping air. And it uses very low wattage, and just so the air is lifting the water up. And that's how we're able to get our fertilizer from a lower level to a higher level. Now, in this case, this is a bathroom experimental disaster biodigester. That is, I've been in situations where there have been earthquakes and the power has been cut, and I've been in places like the slums of Mezquital, Guatemala, or Quitos in Ecuador, numerous places, Cairo, Egypt, where the power goes out for a long time, sometimes weeks, and none of the toilets flush, and it creates public health hazards. So my experiment here is that rather than doing my business in the toilet, I do my business in a bucket and then pour it into this mini biodigester, and then it produces gas, which I'm storing in this balloon here, but then the overflow spills into a bucket where an air stone aerates it. And the air stone's aeration makes it so it doesn't smell at all. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here right now. But then it occurred to me that I could use that same air stone to do pumping. And so I had this set up already with the air stone, and it's now pumping water. Now imagine that that was a tower garden. Then what you would have is you'd have the reservoir of the fertilizer, and then the air stone would be pumping the water up to where the plants are, and then it would drip back down passively into the bucket, and we'd recycle it. And then whenever we added food waste or toilet waste into the digester, then that overspill would make up for the lost water that we lost to evaporation. Meanwhile, the nutrients get pumped up, and any crud that's in there is fine. It just pumps up with it. So you see there's some solids in here. Those solids there. I don't mind touching them. See, look, this was the cover. This normally goes in there. And yes, a biofilm forms, and it may look disgusting to you, but it's been aerated and first cured in the biodigester. So it really has minimal odor. It kind of smells like dirt because of the aeration. This shows also that you do get biofilm formation on pipes that you put in your biodigester. But here, the liquid effluent coming out is pumping up and filling this bucket. And then I could make a drain back into the bucket. So I'm really pleased with this this airlift experiment. I can get a higher rate if I have a stronger air pump. I'm going to try using an air stone, which creates more bubbles, and that should pump more consistently. But that's all there is to it. It's just a tube, and I've put another tube in it, and I've just threaded the thing in. It doesn't work when it's up here. The depth does matter, so here's begin to see it pump once I get it down low enough. So you can vary heights, and if you need to get taller, then of course you might just do several stages with get an air pump that has multiple outlets, and then have one going to the low bucket, then have another one going into a second Home Depot bucket, and then you can keep going higher and higher. But it's really pleasing to see this result, and I hope you will try this at home. And once again, I want to remind you that I do these experiments because I have been through some disasters and been working in developing countries where every day is a disaster, where water is cut and where electricity is cut. And trying this out of taking all your toilet waste and some of your food waste and putting it into an indoor biodigester makes a lot of sense if you were trying to erase the possible public health disasters that could occur when electricity and water are cut. We can recycle our water and use it, and we can recycle our waste. So for Solar Cities, I thank you. Remember to keep the blue flame glowing.